So yesterday, we learned about Martha Baspaisus and how she died because she ate something that she thought she never would have to, or because could be she stepped into something. And I think we got up to Abba Sikra. So what happened is that the Yidden could have withstood a very long siege because they had 21 years of supplies. But the Biryani wanted to fight. So in order to hasten to action, they destroyed the storehouses of wheat and of barley, which forced Klal Yisrael to have to do something. And then there was hunger, but there was still a deadlock. So what happened is Abba Sikra was Resh Biryani de Yerushalayim. He was the head of these bullies. By Achsed Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He was also the nephew of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was the God Lador. Sholachle, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sent to his nephew, I want you to come to me, but I don't want anybody to know that you're coming to me. I want to meet you. Also, Amalei, he told him, Ad emas avdisu hachi v'kedlisu leila alma b'chavna. How long are you going to bully us, not allow us to try to negotiate some type of peace settlement with the Romans, and in the meantime we're starving to them? Amalei. So Abba Sikra answered his uncle, "My Yavid, what should I do? I agree, this is getting out of hand. But if I try to protest to my people, the Amina Luhumidi, if I even say anything to them, Kotli, they'll kill me." Amr Lay, Rabbi Yochanan said, listen, you got us into this mess, you got to get us out of this mess. You have to find some way to smuggle me out of the city so that I should be able to speak to the Romans. It's pretty bad already, this situation, but maybe I'll be able to somehow negotiate some type of Hatzalah for Klal Yisrael. So his nephew told him as follows: put yourself amongst the sick people. In other words, make believe that you're sick, that you're deathly ill, but it has to be real. And therefore, first you have to let everybody start visiting you so that the word should get around that you're sick and then we'll come to visit you. And then the icy meaty sorry, take something really smelly and deteriorated, put it in your bed, so that now you'll smell really bad. The lamer, people will say that you died. And then who's going to carry your coffin to smuggle you out of the city? Only your most loyal Talmidim, because a live person is not dead weight. And people carrying the coffin will be able to tell if what they're carrying is alive. So therefore, only your most loyal Talmidim should carry it so that no one would realize that you're really alive. The Inu Yadi, because everybody knows the Chaya Kol Mamisa. So Avarachi, they did this plan. Nichnas boy, Rabbi Eliezer mitzad echad, Rabbi Shua mitzad achar, those were his Talmidim who carried his mita. Kimatu lePescha, when they got to the gate of the city and ready to leave, the guards, meaning the Biryonim, who weren't letting anybody leave, they wanted to make sure this fellow was really dead. So they tried to treat him like a contortionist. Boy lemitkre. How about we put swords through the coffin, and if there's someone alive in there, he won't survive. Amar lahu. So Abba Sikra told him, Yoimu Rabban Dakru. You want to lower ourselves to that level where even the goyim will see how disrespectful we are to our own Rabbanim? That would be terrible. Okay, so let's try pinching him and poking him. Let's do something to see if he'll scream out in pain. Amar lahu again. Yoimu Rabban Dakru. So they figured, you know what? We have no choice. We're going to let him out. Haschulei Bava. They opened up the gate for him. And obviously, it was accepted that no one was ever buried in Yerushalayim. Otherwise, why didn't they say, get buried here? You see, even the Rebbeyonim had some level of respect that they let the Mason out. Nofak, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai got out. Kimot al-Hassam, when he got there, meaning to the place where the general was, Amar, he referred to the general with the title of king. Amar Shalma Allah Malka, Shalma Allah Malka. Amar Lei. So the general told him, there's two reasons why I can kill you right now. First of all, I'm not a king and you called me a king. So you're playing with me. You're humoring me. you're patronizing me. That in and of itself is reason to kill you. Visu imalkana, even if I was a real king, then ato idna my law is just like a boy. Then why didn't you come for 3 years? You had to wait. Why didn't you come to me now? So that's also disrespectful, and therefore it's reason why I can kill you. Amarle. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai answered, the garment lav malkana, that you say I'm not a king. Ivra malkaat. As a matter of fact, you're going to become a king very soon. The ilav malkat. How do I know? How do I know? Before you say I'm a rebbe and I have a kodesh, I'll tell you simply how I know you're going to be a king. The fact that you're so successful, even in making a siege around Yerushalayim for 3 years, that in and of itself is proof positive that you're going to be a king. The base of Mikdash, which is referred to as Levanon, Ba'adir Yipa will only fall into the hands of an Adir who's a king. So that's as far as that's concerned. You are a king. And if you're going to ask me why it didn't come until now, we had these bullies who wouldn't let us. So the general asked him, what type of excuse is that? You're in crisis because of the B'yonim. You didn't come? If you had a barrel of dvash, of honey, and there was a dangerous snake wrapped around it, you would have broken the chavis to get rid of the snake. So here too, you should have busted out a wall. You should have done something. Ishtik. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai didn't answer, although he could have had a wonderful answer, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu hid the answer from him. Kari alei Rabbi Yossi b'temi Rabbi Kiva, meishiv chachamim ochar. Sometimes the Rebbeinu Shloim turns the chachamim back, takes away what they could have answered. The daita misakal, and will make their minds, their das, foolish. Because he boiled the memerle, you know what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai could have answered? Shaklin and Tzafsa, we won't break the barrel. We'll wait for an opportune time using a long tweezers. Vishaklin and Leila Darkoin, we would have grabbed the snake with tweezers from a distance, from a safe distance. Vikatlin and we would have surgically killed the snake. And then we would have been able to salvage the chavis. And that's what I did. I waited for an opportune time to get out. But he didn't say that. Adahachi, Asa Pristika Alei Mirami, a messenger came from Rome and said the following to this fellow. Amr Lei, Kum, stand up, the Misla Kaisar, the king died, the Amri Hani Chashivi de Romi in the parliament of Rome voted Loisivach Beresha to make you the king. Havasayim Chad Mesani. He was wearing one shoe at the time. Boile Mesayim Melachrina. He wanted to put on the other shoe. Loyala wouldn't go on. His foot swelled. Boile Mishnah Veledich. He wanted to take off the shoe that he was wearing. Lodapik. His foot that was in the shoe as well swelled. He couldn't get it off. Amar Rahai. He got afraid. Maybe he has some type of infection. He got very afraid. Rabbi Yochanan told him, Amar Leilit, don't worry about it. It's simple what happened. Shmu Tov Asalach. You just heard good news that you became the king. That makes your bones swell. She says, great, I know what happened, but I'm still alive. One shoe on, one shoe off. How am I going to fix this? So he said, very simple. Bring your wife. Bring somebody who puts you into a bad mood, who stresses you out, and the lichlev kamoch, and let that person walk in front of you. It'll get you angry, and then your bones will deflate. A sad ruach will dry up the bones. Avarachi, he did it, and it worked. Ayel came on. Amrlei. I'm not sure if he put on the second shoe or if he took off the other shoe. Probably put on the second shoe. Amrlei. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was told by Aspianus Caesar, if you're such a smart guy, he didn't want to let go. He wanted to ask that same question again. Why did you come earlier? Amarlei, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told him, didn't I tell you because the Biryonim didn't let? Amarlei, Anonami Amarlach, but didn't I answer to you about the story with the snake? Amarlei, Mazel Azilna, now that I'm the king, I can't be in charge of this battle anymore, of Yerushalayim. I'm going to have to go back and take over the parliament, and we're going to have to send somebody else to do the job. Vinish Achrina Mishadrana. So since you were mechabed me here and now, I want to do something good for you. I want you to ask me once I'm not in the battle theater, once I'm not in this theater anymore, can't do anything for you. Now I'm here, I'm leaving. What would you like? What can I do for you? Amalei. So here it was a critical time. He had to ask for the right things. So he said, Tain li yavnu v'chachamel. Don't touch the yeshiva. Because Klal Yisrael can have no kiyum without Torah, without a melus b'Torah. That's what the yeshiva represents. Don't touch it. The second thing I don't want you to destroy is Vishu Shilta, the Rabbi Gamliel. Don't ruin the chain of Yuchsin that Rabbi Gamliel has, dating all the way back to David Melech. His intention was, we need base David. They are Melech. But that nationalism is what the Dafka wanted to destroy. He said, no, out of respect, since they're the leaders, please don't kill them. And the Asvasa, the Messiah Leila Rab Tzadok. And be so kind and heal Rab Tzadok, because we'll learn in a second, Rab Tzadok fasted for 40 years. Once again, why didn't he ask to spare the Beis HaMikdash? Kari le Rabbi Yosef, Yitem Rabbi Akiva, Meshiv Chachamim Achar, V'daitem Yisakel, Iboy L'meimer Le, L'shevkinu Hadozimna. He should have said, you know what, this time spare the Beis HaMikdash. But who sabar, and the reason why Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai didn't do it, because Dilma Kula Hai Le'ovid. If you ask for too much, you get nothing. So therefore, if he would have asked for the Beis HaMikdash, and that would have been too much, that he would have got nothing. So he figured, let me ask for something that's reasonable that they would be able to offer. So let's talk about Reb Tzadok. Asvasa the Messiah and Reb Tzadok. Mahi, what did they do? So he hadn't eaten in such a long time. So they had to very slowly get him to eat. The first day, they just gave him to drink water that bran was soaked in. They actually added some flour to thicken it up. They made it almost like a porridge. Porta until Rab Tzadok was able to tolerate more and more food. Then they heal him up. I guess they wanted the best doctors. They wanted the most expensive doctors. Doctors probably weren't as easy to come by. In those days, it was like nowadays, where since OB doesn't pay, no one wants to become doctors anymore. I'm not sure. Azal Shadri Latitus Russia. Then they got a real tough guy. Who did they send back? They sent back to take over the mission, the biggest lowlife out there, Titus Russia. But Omar, he came right away with chutzpah connected the Rebbeinu Shalom. And he said, where's their God? Where is she now? I'm in charge. Zet Titus HaRasha, this is the despicable Titus. He cursed the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ma'asa, this is how disgusting he was. Tafas Zoyna b'yadai. He took a Zoyna to defile the Beis HaMikdash. V'nichnas l'beis kodshei HaKodeshim. V'yitzia Sefer Torah. And what did he use as a bed mat? He used a Sefer Torah that he rolled out. Right in the Kodesh on the Sefer Torah. And then B'not al Sayif, he took a knife, V'gider as a paroiches, and he slashed the paroiches. There was a nace that the paroiches was bleeding. He thought that he killed the Shekhinah itself. Your Torahim, your oppressors will scream inside your moyed. Samu oisoisam oisos. They made oisos, meaning they thought that by cutting the paroiches, it was bleeding. There are those who say that, according to the Shita, that when the Kohen Gadol would spritz dam on Yom Kippur on the paroiches itself, it was keilu, the Rebbeinu Shalom was rejecting the dam of those korbanos. Abu Chanan Omar Mika Moicha Chasin Ka, who is like you, Rebbeinu Shalom, who you rest, Micha Moicha Chasin V'Kasha. What does that mean? You listen to the horrible comments and curses of Oisei Russia, of Titus V'Shoisik, and you didn't say anything. The very Bishmal Tana Micha Moicha B'Kelim Hashem, and we darshan Kelim as Ilamim, those who cannot speak. Micha Moicha B'Ilamim Ma'asa. What did Titus then continue to do? Not Allah Paroiches. He took the Paroiches for Asoi Kimin Gargusni. He shaped it into some type of basket. The Hevi called Kelim Sheba Mikdash. The Nichan Behen. He gathered all the Kelim of the Mikdash and put it into his basket. He twisted it up into a bag. Boishivan Besvina, and he put them in a ship. Leilech L'Shabech Biroi. How did he show how great he was? Thank you so much. How did he show how great he was? By sending back or bringing back all of these jewels of the enemy. That gets him tremendous respect and cheering because look, I won. I took their crown jewels. Shenemar uvechein reisi rishoyim kavurim. I saw rishoyim who are kavurim, which the Gemara's Gedashna means gathered together. Ubo they're going to come. Umimakim kadosh aleichu, they're going to come from the Makam Kadosh, referring from the base of Mikdash with all the Kalim. V'yishtachu, which we're going to dash, and v'yishtabchu be'ir, and then they're going to be praised in their own city where they bring the Kalim to Asher Nasu that they did this. So how do we get to what I translated from the words of the pasuk? Because the Gemara says, "Al tikru kavurim ela kavutzim," gathered together. Al tikru v'yishtachu ela v'yishtabchu, they will be praised with, and therefore it stems with the way we dashed it that Titus took Kalim from Eretz Yisrael from the base of Mikdash, and he showed off with them in his own land in Rome. Ikadami Kavur Mamish. When it's talking about the Rishonim, it doesn't mean Kavutzim gathered together, it means they're buried. What does that mean? Nafilu Mili de Mitamron Igalin Lahoim. This Titus was showing off that I was able to find Dvorim Kavurim. I was able to find even the most hidden, most precious items that normally people wouldn't even be able to find. I found them. Amad Alav Nachshel Shabayam. So they're in the ship on the way back to Rome, and they hit a tremendous storm, and it looked like they were going down with Toivoy to sink the ship. Amar. So Titus says, now I see what's going on. It seems like on land, Hashem has no tvista, there's no shlita over there. And he said, it makes sense, because Avodah Zarah doesn't work on water. So Hashem is second rate. On land, he has no chance against us. Where could he have any shlita? Only in Mayim. And I'll prove it to you, he says. Think about it. But Parai Tavai B'mayim, Parai fell in the water. But Sisra Tavai B'mayim, Tisra fell in the water. Afu Oimir Alai L'Tavei B'mayim. So I guess, again, Hashem's trying to get me in the water. You're so tough, Hashem. You're so tough. Im Gibar hu Yalali Yabosha V'yasi Imil Muhammad. Let me see you fight me on dry land. Why didn't, that's what everybody thinks when we learn this Gemara. Why didn't Titus say the Mabel? The Mabel was water. Territory is the Mabel is where water came onto dry land. He only wanted to find cases where it was in the water. So Yotza Baskal of Armorloi, Russia ben Benoishalo Isa Russia. There's no string of DNA in your whole system that's not a Russia. You're pure Russia. So, Ber Yakala Yeshli Bailami. I have a tiny little creature, Vita Shema, it's a mosquito. A my Karila Ber Yakala. Why is it called the Ber Yakala? The Malma Islay, it takes food in, Mafkana Lasla, but nothing goes out. Alali Abosha, Alali Abosha, or Alali Abosha, go up to the Abosha, Mr. Mosquito. The Sasi no, you see, Titus, you go to Abosha, and let's see you fight a war with my tiniest agent. The Sasi Muhammad. So Alali Abosha, Boyitash Venichnas Bechait, a little mosquito got into his nose. Vinoka Bamoich, gehacked in Chinik, Sheva Shadim, for 7 years. Yoim Echad, Habakachalif Ababa de Beinafka. He was once passing by. He normally wasn't found in the industrial neighborhoods. He was only on Bay Street, this Titus. But one day, for some reason, he had to be in an industrial neighborhood. Shama Koil Arzavta, they heard the banging of the blacksmith. And that noise, Ishtik, it stopped this mosquito from hacking him in his head. She says, wow, I've discovered insulin. I've discovered penicillin. I've discovered a way to stop this mosquito from hacking me in cup. So what did he do? Every day they had a blacksmith come and hack a whole day in front of him. At least it relieved his pain from this mosquito. If it was a guy, they paid a guy to do it. Yisrael, if he had a Jew there, he didn't pay. He said, I'm not paying you. You have so much annoy every moment seeing me suffer that's better paid than the four Jews. I'm not paying you. The medicine worked for 30 days. But then the bird says, you know what? Back to work. We took a break for 30 days and they got accustomed to it. The mosquito got accustomed to it. So he was back in trouble again. Tanya Amar Pinchas ben Aruba. Ani Yosy ben Gittin Daf. I was there amongst the Gedolei Raimi Uchashameis. And when Titus paid Patsu esmoichai, they broke open his head, they did an autopsy. Umatsuboy, katzipur drawer. And they said, we always considered Titus to be a bird brain, right? And the fact that they found a bird inside his head, Mishgal Shnei Shloim, it was a big one. Like a goizel, a bird to a year old. Mishgal Shnei Litrin. Amar Abaye, Naktino, we learned that Piv Shal Nechoshes, its beak was copper, Vitzipoino Shal Barzel, and its talons were of steel. And the Mepharshim tell us that the Nechoshes is something that's normally used to smash things, like a hammer, blunt force. And Barzel is normally used to make a blade sharp, like sharp talons. So not only was it banging, it was cutting inside as well. Kamayis, when he died, so Titus gave them instructions what to do with his body. Amalu, he told them the Kalil Hagavra, burn him, Vilidzir Lakitma Shavyami, and spread my ashes on the seven seas. I don't want Hashem to be able to find me. He thought by burning himself and spreading himself on the seven seas, he thought that would protect him from Gehenna. I hear. Unkelus bar Kulnikus bar Achse de Titusava. Unkelus was the nephew of Titus. He was considering becoming a ger. He figured, let me ask my uncle, he's on the other side, he can tell me what's going on up there. He used the Isser of Oiv Yadoni, of Oiv, to pull up the mace. Amalei, so they went into Gehenna, they said, Titus, you got a visitor. So he came out, he said, oh, my nephew's here, what can I do for you? Amalei, man chashav alma. Who is most chashav in Alma? Who's the Rosh HaMachshav? Amalei Yisrael, it's the Yidden. So he said, Ma'ulad bukebahu. Maybe I should become a ger. Amalei. So Titus said, it's not worth becoming a Jew. Milay and Nefishim. They have so many mitzvahs, you'll never be able to pull it off. I have a better idea. You want to be, you'll not, in the next world, it's not going to work so good because you can't be a Jew. But how about, at least in this world, maximize who you are? Zil igri behu bahu alma. Go cause Klal Yisrael a lot of trouble. Be their oppressors and their tormentors, and then Bavaresha. And then at least in Olam Haba, in Olam Hazeh, you'll be powerful. The Rebbe Shalom gave those who trouble Klal Yisrael, he made them great. Maybe, like it says, Yisrael Nasar Rosh. Maybe like what we learned a couple of days ago, what we just learned today, that the Kodesh Baruch Hu doesn't want Klal Yisrael to fall into the hands of nobody. Out of respect for Klal Yisrael, they fall into the hands of very powerful people. Amalei Dina du Gaber b'mai. Titus, so tell me how you doing up there. Tell me how you spend your days. Amalei, oh, exactly what I wanted for myself is what I got. B'mai the pasuk and nafshe, exactly what I asked, to be burnt and spread into the seven seas. They do that to me every day. Kol yom michna shalei likitmei. Every day, all the king's horses and all the king's men put me back together again. V'dainile, and they judge me. V'kalule, and they burn me again. Umavadri hashavyami. So every single day, I go through this din again and again. Azal aske lebilim. Then he decided, you know what? Now that I see what's going on up there, let me get some more info. We do my research. So he asked for Bilam, ben Agida. Why didn't he ask for Moshe Rabbeinu? Probably because Moshe Rabbeinu wouldn't have come. So he asked Bilam, Amalei, man chashav alma, who's chashav in that word? Amalei Yisrael. Mal lidbukabu, you think I should become a ger? Amalei, lo sidroi shloimam v'tebasam kal yamim. Stay away from the Jews. Amalei dina hugaber b'mai. Tell me, Bilam, what do you do? How do you spend your days? Amalei b'shich v'zera reisachas. And Rashi says, mida connected mida. Because his eitzah was that Klal Yisrael should lose nus, and now he's going to cook in it. Azal aske b'negida lepoisha Yisrael. Then he tried reaching out to Poisha Yisrael, which after the censor is removed, nowadays we could say it means Yoshka. He went and he wanted to speak to Yoshka. Amalei, but that's not what Rashi says. Amalei, man chashiv bahu alma. Who is chashiv in this world? Amalei Yisrael. Malid bukabahu. Should I become Jewish? Amalei tayvasam droish. Look for the good of Klal Yisrael. Ra'asam loisid droish. I wonder why the Christians didn't know this Gemara all through the years. Tayvasam droish. Ra'asam loisid droish. Kala nageya behen. Anyone who touches a Jew, kilo nageya bebavas einoi. It's like they're touching the eye of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Amalei. So then he asked Yoshka, Dina de Hugaver b'mai, what exactly do you do? How are you judged over there? Amalei b'tzoyer reisachas. I'm soaking every day in cooking diarrhea. The Omar Mar, So sagt die Gemara, Toch hazi ma ben Poishi Yisrael l'Neviah Umas Olam. Yoshke, even Yoshke, as bad as he was, he still told uncles, become a ger, connect yourself to Eden. But the Neviah Umas Olam, they rejected Yoshke. Of what? Because Kol Malak Al oh, you wonder why Malak Al Divrei Chachamim? Oh, he made his mouth into a sewer? Okay, gewaltig. Okay, Zog the Gemara weiter. Rashi speaks about it. Rashi says, "V'yolef lo milag harbe yigias boser." It has to do with deterioration. Tanya Amar Rabbi Lozer. Rabbi Lozer said, "Borei, come and see kama koiche gadol shel busha." Look, the whole Churban Bayis came because Bar Kamto was humiliated. You see, when someone is humiliated, what a koyach they have. We know that whenever someone is humiliated and doesn't answer back, right away we go to ask him for a bracha because he has a koyach, but he has the same destructive force as well. HaKadosh Baruch Hu as Bar Kamta, the hechrev as Beisai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu assisted Bar Kamta to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, the surface echel. So that was the first story. Kamta Bar Kamta, the Beis Hamikdash was charev. Now it's a Tanagoyla, but Tanagolta, charev Tur Malka. Tur Malka was destroyed because of a chicken and a rooster. There was a minik. You have a mavki chasna v'chalsa, mavku kamayu Tanagoyla v'Tanagolta, koloima pru urvu k'Tanagoyla. Pru urvu was said by chickens. You should very, very fruitful. As a matter of fact, I think it's the Ben Ish Chai discusses that there was a minig that after Chassan Kala got married, the first night they would go home and he would give her a piece of chicken and she would give him a piece of chicken. And there were people who wanted to be mevatel the minig. And the Ben Ish Chai said, you're not allowed to be mevatel minig. It stems from this minig, but they no longer use live chickens because of this story. Yom echad habekacholef gunda de rumoy. And a band of Roman soldiers seized the birds away. So the Olam was very angry. We're in the middle of a chasna, you're taking the birds, which is the skula for good children. Naflu alayu machunu. The whole wedding, the whole Jewish, they made a chapsim. They called Shreimim, they made a chapsim, and they smashed to death these Romans to take back the bird, which is a little bit of an overreaction. Because if they would have thought a little bit ahead, they would have thought, you think this might trigger a bigger problem for us? Also, Amrullah the Kaisar, they told the Kaisar, Mardubach Yudoi, they attacked and destroyed a battalion. Also, Alayu, and that caused them to come. Hababahu Abar Droima, there was a southern fellow, to have a Kavet Mila. He was able to jump a mill. He was a tremendous athlete. Vekato Bahu, and he killed them. Shak le Kaisar Litage, the Kaisar took his crown, and he put it on the ground. Omar, he said, Rebbeinu de Almakula, inichalach loisimsri lo gavra l'didei ulamachusay biyodei dechad gavra. Please, Rebbeinu Shalom. Here already, the Roman, the guy said, please don't make my whole malchus fall into the hands of one person. There was this, he was like a superhero. He was such a strong, powerful guy. But how did this Bar Droima answer back? This was his cardinal error. Ach shalei pume levar dreim Amar. You know how he responded? I haloi atar lekim zenachtanu. Hashem, you could abandon us. V'loi tzeiser lekim b'tzivay seinu. I don't need your help. I got it under control. Hashem, I don't need your help anymore. I found the spot already. Right? So he said, I don't need Hashem. More, how is it a time on the Bar Droima? David HaMelech said that. David Nami Amar Hachi. So no, David Atmui Kamatama. Rebbeinu Shalom. Please don't abandon us. Are you going to abandon us? Please don't. But the Bar Droima said it as a fact, yeah, we don't need you. So what happened? Because of this strong guy who could have protected Klal Yisrael, who was too cocky, he went to the bathroom. Also, there was some kind of serpent there in the bathroom. He bit him and grabbed his intestines and pulled his colon right out of his body. And that caused him to die. Amar Hoyel B'Strachashli Nisa Hazimna. Since we had a nice this time, Ishvikinu. We're going to leave the Jews now because they saw that they almost got destroyed and they got saved, so they backed up. Shevkinu. But Azal, I'm sorry. So he left them. He left them, but now the Yidden were going to party because they got saved. Shafkinu, va'azal is the kur. They went to that party, the Yidden, because they got saved. Va'achlu v'shasu, they ate and drank. But liku shrage, they had so much light and fire in the great celebration that they were saved from the Romans. If somebody had a signet ring at night, they were able to see the signet ring clearly up to a mil away from of the light. So now the king says, now they're partying. They're sort of making fun of me by partying so much. Yeah, I spared them, but like they're partying like they won me over. I'm not comfortable with that. So therefore, Hadar also Alayu, that caused the king to come back again with his army to attack the Eden. Omer Basi Tlas Meya Alpha Shlifi Saifa, 300,000 swordmen, those who pull their sword out of their sheath. Ailu le Turmalka, they came to Turmalka, the Katluba, they killed. There was a shchita, a pogrom that went on for 3 days and 3 nights. That was on one side of Turmalka, on one side, one slope of the mountain range. But on the other slope of the mountain range, they didn't even realize what was going on. They didn't even know about each other. Bila Hashem swallowed us up. It's called Nois Yaakov. Yeah. What is this referring to? Elushishim Ribu Ayaris, 60 times 10,000 is 600,000 cities. Shahayu Loy Liyanei Amelech Bahar Amelech. The Omar Rabbi Yehuda Omar Rav Asi, Shishim Ribu Ayaris, or 600,000 cities. Hayu Loy Liyanei Amelech Bahar Amelech, which is Turmalka. They each had 600,000 people, except for 3 of these cities. They had 1.2 million. Elohein, Kfar Bish, Kfar Shichlayim, and Kfar Decharya. Kfar Bish, why was it called Kfar Bish, the bat city? They would never offer place to stay to someone who's a guest. Kfar Shichlayim, Shoyza Parnasosan min Shachalayim. They made the money from cress, which was not a good business. They didn't do so well. They would give birth to males first, then and then they would give birth to females that they didn't want, and they stopped having children because they didn't want to have daughters. That's what it was called, the city of males. I guess so. So I saw that there weren't so many people. You're exaggerating. It can't even hold 600,000 reeds. There's no way it handled so many people. This must be an exaggeration. Amin told Rab Chanina, you're lying. Amalei told him, no, we're not lying. Eretz Tzviksivba. It says about Eretz Yisrael that it's a land like a deer. Just like a deer, if you strip off its hide and you flatten it out, you'll say, hey, how does the animal fit into this hide? The hide seems to be smaller than what it would take to cover the animal. If we're there, it'll become spacious for us. It will shrink. So just because you see it small now, that doesn't mean anything. They were sitting together. If anybody heard anything about if the people from Sechanya of Mitzrayim, if they're good people, if they're bad people, share it with us. And the Oris Varusa, they had Kedushin, they just didn't have Chuppah. And what happened was they were trapped, they were captured. And their captors wanted to make them live together. Amr Loi, the Kala told the Chosin, please don't touch me. We didn't do Nisun, I didn't get a ksuba, and it's also for you to live with me, even though we're in Mekadeshes. They lived together their entire lives, and he never touched her. Gebura, unbelievable. And when he died, she told the Rav who was giving a hesped, let me tell you what you should say in the hesped about how great my husband was. He was able to be showed in the Yitzhara a lot greater than Yosef Atzad. Yosef had to control his Yitzhara. For how much? For 6 hours? For that attack that he had. It was a temporary thing. But my husband called Yoima Yoima. Every day of his life, he had to control himself. Yosef didn't sleep in the same bed as her. They were different people. Every single day we were in the same bed and he couldn't touch me. Yosef wasn't his wife, so he stayed away from her. I was married to him and he was able to control himself. But it still wasn't his whole life. There was a story in this city. So we just talked about how great these people were. That this is a couple from this city, how they behave. There was a time where our boy moidiyos bedinner, so you could buy 40 moidiyos as a measure of wheat, I guess, with a dinner. Nechzer ashar moidiyachas. And what happened is there was inflation. And there was inflation. You couldn't get moidiyos anymore. You could only get 39 moidiyos. There was a little bit of inflation. That was a panic. They didn't raise the rates to stop inflation. What they did was batku matzu abu benoi shabo al nairim urasam yemekipurim. They found people who did a terrible avera. They killed them. That stopped inflation. So I'm not saying anything that what I think should be done. I'm just suggesting that if you destroy all the tayeva, there's going to be less inflation. So maybe you could draw a connection between the burst of explosion of tayeva that's going on in the world to inflation. Just saying. Justin saying. Another person got up and said, someone wanted to divorce his wife. But he said, how am I going to pay her for ksuba? I can't afford to, she's too expensive to divorce, but he wanted to divorce her. How can I make her lose her ksuba? So what did he do? He invited over his neighbors, and he made a party. And he got them all drunk, and he took them into his bedroom, and he partied, he got everybody on the bed. I don't want to know where this party was going. And he put his wife there on the bed, and they're all partying together. Then what he did was, he took the white of an egg, which looks like shikva zera, and he put it there on the bed, and he made sure it got on the bed, it got on the people. And now he said, the heaven and I said, look, my wife was mazana with these men, because look, there's zera over here. And he came to Bezdin. There was a great man there who was Baba Bamuta. Amalan, he said, I was makabel a litmus test. How can you tell if something is zera or if something is an egg white? How can you test? The white of an egg will get absorbed and burn in the fire. The shikva zera will just be repelled by the fire. So let's put fire to it. Let's see how it reacts. There was the first science experiment that was done, and they were able to see that this was loivin beya, and it wasn't zera. So they realized that this fellow was just trying to scam his wife out of her ksuba. They gave him malchus, and they made him pay up her full ksuba. So you're talking about unbelievable people. What a nation. How you talking? My time is why were they all so destroyed? Because they didn't mourn on Yerushalayim. Who's going to be able to party with Yerushalayim? Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, those that are being misabel with Yerushalayim now. Who's going to party with Yerushalayim? Who's going to celebrate? Yerushalayim is rebuilt by Hashem Yisbarach with Karev Mamish. Those who are misabel with it now. So now we have the third thing. Asaka the Rispik Karev Beitar. Beitar was destroyed because of one of the walls of a carriage, of a chariot, of a coach. Davanigi used to be a minik. When a little baby was born, Shasli Arza, they would plant in honor of this child a tenenbaum, a cedar tree, and Yunuktov was a girl. Shasli Ternisa, it was an evergreen. Evergreens are much more durable than cedar trees. They survive in the winter as well. That's why maybe they make an evergreen, a pine tree, for women because they're more durable. They can handle more. And when they would get married, they would cut down these two trees that were planted long ago. That's what they made the chuppah out of. The daughter of the Kesar was riding by in her coach. Itper Saka the Rispek. One wall of her coach broke. So what did they do? They cut down a cedar tree that was there, and they gave it to her. Now This was someone who was going to. This was something who was planted for him. They took it away. So the Eden attacked this chariot. Also, Nafal Alayu Machunu. They destroyed this whole battalion, this whole procession. They destroyed because they cut down one of the Yiddish trees. So we were the first people for Pita, or we were the first environmentalists. We attacked them for cutting down a tree. Also, Amrul the case, they told the case, Mordebach Yudoi, also lying. Gada b'chariyaf kol Keren Yisrael. Cursed with anger is all of Keren Yisrael. Amar Abzair, Amar Bavo, Amar Be'echanan. This is referring to Elu Shmoidim Elef. I'm sorry? Ripped out. I'm sorry. Ripped out. Okay. Amar Be'echanan, Elu Shmoidim Elef Karnei Milchama. These are the 80 horns of Milchama. Horn refers to like a lieutenant, someone who leads a battalion. Shenichzu l'krach Beitar, b'shash halachtua, that attacked Beitar when it was captured, when it was conquered. V'harguba anoshim v'noshim v'taf. There was so much murder and death going on that the blood was flowing like a river. Achahalach doman v'nafal yamagodoil. Shema timer kroiva haisa. Maybe you'll say Yamagodo was very close, so of course the blood ran to the Yamagodo. No, rechaika is a mill. That means there's a river of blood that was a mill that went all the way to the Yamagodo, to the Mediterranean. Tanya Beloza Gadol Aimer. Shnei Nechalom Yesh Bebikas Yudayim. There's two rivers there. Echad Moshech Elech, Vechad Moshech Elech. There's a point there that two rivers start from it. One goes in one direction, one goes in the other direction. The Shir Chachamim Shnei Chelkei Mayim Vechadam, and they figured out that there was 2/3 water and 1/3 dam in the river. So the river had so much blood in it. It was a third of the river was blood. For 7 years, the goyim who took over the land didn't even have to fertilize because there was so much blood content in the water with which they irrigated their fields that was built-in fertilizer. They didn't have to fertilize at all. Okay, Zog to Gemara weiter. We can't go too much weiter because we're already over time, but I'm trying to catch up. Amar Reb Chia bar Abba Reb Yeshua ben Karcha. Sachli Zakanech man to Yerushalayim. An old man from Anshe Yerushalayim whispered to me. Bebikazu Harag Nubazradon Rab Tabochim, the big butcher Nubazradon killed in this valley, Masayim the Akas Esrei Ribli. 210 times 10,000 is 2,100,000, right? 2,110,000. People of Yerushalayim, Harag Tishim Va'arba Ribli. 940,000 al Evan Achas on one stone. Achahalach Daman v'noga b'domei shel Zechariah. Remember, they killed Zechariah much earlier, and his blood was bubbling and wouldn't stop. And there was so much blood in Yerushalayim that it flowed all the way to where Zechariah was buried, and the blood touched it. L'kai mashnemar v'domim b'domim nogu. One blood touched the other blood. Okay, we have to stop here, but we are catching up, and I will get us fully caught up. And I apologize that I keep on coming late, but I'm getting there. Last night I got into bed not at 10, I got into bed by 11. So I was here within 5 minutes. But Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow I'm going to be on time. I'm going to get into bed even earlier. Shkoyach.